everyone, and thanks for joining us this morning. Today, we have Mike Smith, who is the founder of the Executive Franchise Match. Mike, thanks so much for being with us today.
You're welcome, Amanda. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem at all. I'd love to dive right into things with you and have our audience really understand a little bit more of your background. So, can you tell me about your background and maybe what inspired you to be a career ownership coach and help people find the perfect franchise?
Well, I've been in franchising over 30 years. I started years ago, and in the corporate world, I worked for a large brewery here in Canada, and I also spent a number of years, 7 years, with Xerox in sales and sales management. Decided to get into explore a franchise or get into ownership. And when I left Xerox, because we were traveling all over the place and got relocated, one of my neighbors owned a master franchise in a real estate company here in Canada. So he asked me if I would help him sell real estate franchises for him in Ontario. And I did that for about 3 years. We sold out all the franchises in his area in a short period of time. He'd already had about 20, and we got it up to 40. I had no locations left, and so there was nothing left for me to do. So I decided to buy my own master franchise because I liked the business model. I did enjoy franchising and enjoyed helping people get into their own business. So I thought I've experienced the master franchise model, and I purchased a master franchise here for Ontario in the home inspection business.
Okay, cool. What a background. Oh my goodness, 30 years in franchising. You've seen a lot then.
I have, yeah, I've seen it all. I think.
Right? We think, right?
Yeah.
But who knows what's around the corner?
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
too good. Well, when you're working like currently with your clients and different people that are exploring franchise as an opportunity, how do you go about understanding what their goals and their skills and their financial needs are before you end up actually recommending a franchise?
I ask a lot of questions and listen hard to really what's going on in their life. People are, they're making a big career decision. I've been there and I've done it, and a lot of people are been in business or been in the corporate world for 20, 25 years, and they're ready for a change, or some of them are forced to make a change. So it's a matter of asking questions as to what they really want to do with their life right now. And do they want to stay in the same industry? Do they want to have something on their own? Do they want to bring in family members? What's their timing like? And what would they really like to do for the next 10, 15 years of their life? And so I look at, there's so many franchise choices out there. It's a matter of finding the right match.
Definitely is. And with the network that you're a part of, you're exposed to so many different franchises, hundreds of franchises. How do you go about evaluating the franchises before you actually recommend them to a client of yours?
Well, I rarely recommend a new startup franchise. I like to look at franchises that have a minimum of 50 established unit franchises in their system, so the franchise candidate has an opportunity to, properly validate and find out from these franchise owners, and that's part of the discovery process they go through to see if they're getting the proper support, to see, if it is a good, solid brand. And by having 50 franchisees, you've got a pretty good indication that the franchisor has, been around for a while and has built a solid base, and go from there. Many of the franchisors that I represent have 200 or 300 franchisees in the system. So looking for well-established, solid brands that support their franchisees very well.
Definitely. So now spinning it around a little bit back to some of the clients that you actually work with, can you tell me a story about maybe a challenging placement that you had where you had to go back to the drawing board maybe a few times and bring new recommendations since they didn't maybe like the first two or three you brought up?
Yeah, the biggest challenge I have found is where people want to do it part-time. They want to start into franchising part-time. They want to keep their day job, their benefits. And that's great, and I get it. It's very difficult for someone to, there's a few franchisors out there that offer a part-time or a transition franchise program. So it's a matter of kind of narrowing down the search to see if, what's available in the industry that they like, and then taking them through that discovery process. The challenge is always, how much time and effort are they going to put into it? They're going to spend money and time to get trained. They're going to purchase a franchise territory. And then are they going to work at it 3 hours a week or 3 days a week? So it's always a challenge. And there are some good ones out there. There's some B2B consulting franchises that I really like that have an excellent program in place that will train people and work with them and coach them and help them through the 6 months or even a year to keep them focused on the franchise and their goal of getting into their own business, and allowing them the time they need to keep their day job.
Yeah, definitely. And every franchise has its own price tag to it. So how do you tailor your approach to clients that have different financial needs and backgrounds?
Well, it's a matter of in the initial conversations, finding out what their financial situation is. Do they have capital that they've set aside to invest in a business? Do they have with most of my clients are in North America, so Canada and the US. In the US, there are some great franchise funding franchise or agencies out there that can help. Canada, it's rather limited. So in Canada, it's a matter of saying, if you've got money set aside, great. Let's see if that's the right source for you. Are you better off looking at home equity loans? In the US, there's a lot of different, small business loan opportunities, a lot more so than here in Canada. So it's really looking at their financial system or their setup, and to make sure that they're not getting into a business that's, costing them too much and getting them, financially strapped, because that's not a good situation. And also bringing their if they have a partner, bringing their partner into the conversation and saying, let's talk as a family here. And as they were, you're going to invest family money into something, make sure that it's affordable for you.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one of those things where it has to be almost a family decision because it's more than just one person involved. And so it's that
Absolutely.
whole household. And if the whole household isn't as involved, then it could go south pretty quickly. And no one wants to be financially strapped when you're first starting out a business, right?
No.
That's where we see people kind of just trying to tread water through it. And we want people to thrive and really grow within the business. And so having that stable financial background is so crucial.
Yes, for sure.
So tell me about one of your really happy clients where you were able to help match them with the perfect franchise and they're having some success.
Well, I guess about 5 years ago, I had uh, a senior executive in one of the major banks here in Canada. He'd been in the banking business for 25 years. He was doing well, but he'd moved 10 times in 25 years. And his family was getting a little tired of it. So when we connected, I asked him a question, and he said, I said, what do you really want to do right now? You're 50 years old. You've traveled all over Canada and the US. What do you really want to do with your life? Do you want to stay in finance? And he said, no. And he said, I've talked to a few other people and nobody's asked me what I want to do in the future. They just said, here's some franchises to look at. And I said, so tell me what you want to do. And he said, every time we've moved, I've fixed the place up, our house up. I'm a handyman. I love being a handyman. So find me a handyman franchise. He said, I'd like to have an executive model if they exist. And I said, yes, and sent him 3 handyman franchises that were executive models. And he settled on one, and he's very, very happy building that model that franchise over the last 5 years. And I speak to him periodically, and he says, I'm glad I got out of the finance business. This is more fun. And he said, I'm making good money at it, and I'm enjoying my life better.
And that makes such a difference. And you make a
Yep.
good point there of being able to actually dive into what they want. We can't just throw franchises at people because it's not going to stick.
No.
It's got to be what's going to be a good fit for them and what they want to do over the next 5, 10, 15 years. And sometimes it's taking a step back and just having conversations with them rather than just saying, I got all this stuff for you, right? And so I
Yes.
love that you take that approach. That's fantastic. So being in franchising for over 30 years, what do you believe are some of the most common misconceptions with franchising?
Number one, everybody thinks franchising is only about food.
Mhm.
And I hear that all the time. They think of the big food brands, and that's what franchising is, or convenience stores. Well, actually, yeah, some convenience stores, but mostly food. And I don't really deal a lot with food. I've had a few candidates that have come from a food background. They understand the business, but it's I don't look for those type of people. They're it's a major capital investment. Um, you know, the major food brands are really, they've got people lined up to take their franchises on. But I really work with people and tell them on my website I list about 15 different industries that are the most popular out there: B2B consulting, senior care, home improvement, the automotive industry, in terms of repairs. There's a lot of great industries out there that people don't realize are franchises. So I take them through that list and say, pick something here, give me your top 3, or check as many as you want, and I'll come back to you with some franchise suggestions that are in those industries that you like.
I love that. I mean, it's so true. Franchising is much more than food, and there's some great books out that are around that topic as a whole. But I even think about my local community. I've only been in franchising for like 8, 9 years. And so when I first got into it, I was like, wait, is this McDonald's? What am I doing? What does this mean? And no, I'm not McDonald's. But now it just really opens your eyes when you're driving around seeing businesses in your community, and you can start pinpointing out, well, that's a franchise, that's a franchise, that's a franchise. And it has you look at locally owned businesses differently too, which I really, really love. I love educating people about franchising. It's truly one of the most rewarding parts of it because there's so many opportunities out there, even
Yes.
beyond just franchising.
And there are some great food franchises. It's
Yeah.
just it's not for everybody. So let's
No.
look at what's out there and find something that really is a better fit for you than food.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been wonderful, Mike. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I really appreciate it and getting to know you.
Well, thank you, Amanda. Nice to get to know you too.